I'm so honored to be here, truly. I've been a fan of IJS for a few years now, so to have the chance to breathe together and work together is truly a gift. And hello, everyone. Early Shabbat Shalom. It's such a pleasure to be with you all and to be part of your family. And before we begin, I'd like to just start with a moment of gratitude and just a breath of arriving in that gratitude. So if you want to close your eyes, I invite you to just drop into that stillness once again, whether you've been here for a few minutes already or you're arriving right now, thinking about whatever brought you here today, a something, a someone, whatever made it possible for you to be here today, just to hold some gratitude for being here with our bodies and our minds and our hearts. What a gift it is to be together and take this time to go inward. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and we'll do some learning together and some breathing and meditating together. And again, I'm just so happy to be here. So as Rabbi Mark mentioned, Elul is upon us, just 2 days away. And this is the last month of the Hebrew calendar year. And of course, this is our big finale. And this month kicks off our annual opportunity to look inward, right? We're getting ready for the high holidays, and we do this individually, but also in the presence of our assembled community. And we prepare to account for all that has not served us, and begin the work of repairing any fractured mind or a fearful heart. And it's a time to reflect on all the moments in the past year where we might have missed the mark. And it's our chance to return to ourselves and move our visions of wholeness forward. And I can definitely say that this year has been unlike any other. I don't think many of us or any of us imagined that we would still be more or less in a virtual world for a second high holiday season. But here we are, and we get this moment of time to really sit and reflect and think deeply together. And so in this time, it's customary to blow the shofar every day leading up to Rosh Hashanah. And that sound, that startling sound, is meant to wake us up, mind, body, spirit, our souls wake up and rise up, and we engage in this cheshbon hanefesh, this accounting of our souls. And a lot of people have different ways of practicing that. For some, it's through prayer. For some, it's through reflection. And we have this period of time of Elul, that sacred time, to really go inward. That introspection takes place to inspire teshuvah, to inspire that returning to ourselves. And we call on the divine, on God, to treat us with mercy as we navigate our errors and our humanness. So we have this time, this period, this sacred period beginning on Sunday. And in this time of communal atonement, we have a built-in process. And this process, or this time, gives us time to process. And we have tools and rituals to help us there to move forward with intention. And that's where our practice of meditation comes in a really deep way. Maybe we've been meditating all year, but this is like the Super Bowl of meditating. And Elul is, I love this month so much because it's a space between destruction and redemption. We are wrapping up the month of Av, and Av holds deep grief and mourning and destruction. And then on the other end of Elul, we have Tishrei, where we have Rosh Hashanah, new beginnings, and there's so much hope. So we're in this in-between time. And an image that comes to mind for me, and I'm just going to share a different background for a moment. I think about butterflies. This space between is our process. It's our cocooning phase before the butterfly emerges out of its shell and into the world. And when it transforms, it moves into a form that it was better than before, a form that takes them higher than they could have ever imagined as a caterpillar. So we ourselves are in that cocoon right now, preparing to take flight. And isn't it incredible that our tradition has built in such a thoughtful structure that supports human growth in this way for thousands of years? It's like they just knew. They understood the importance of marking transitions with meaning. We mark transitions from darkness to light. We mark transitions from season to season, from brokenness to wholeness, and from disconnection to integration. And that's what Elul is all about. It's all about that integration. It's all about preparing our wings to fly and integrating all of ourselves into who we can be. And that path looks unique for everyone. And it's not always that easy to be so candid with ourselves, but that's why we do this work as a community. We engage in communal atonement in this process so we were not alone. And when we think about ancient times, when the Kohanim, the priests at the ancient temple, they were the ones that did the prayer for everybody. But here we are holding each other. And so, with that idea in mind, I have an invitation for us all today. And as we as we prepare to step into Elul, an invitation of inclusion, of being open and welcoming to all who are in our family and community, as well as an invitation to include ourselves, to be welcoming of all of ourselves and all of our parts and all of our complexities and everything in between. Through this year, we became more aware and just incredibly, just even just thinking about it, I have to take a moment to process it because we became even more aware of how necessary it is to be connected. We are we are so resilient. Can we just take a moment to celebrate how resilient we are to make it through this point in the pandemic? So that's one thing. But if anything, we've learned the importance of connectivity, to being connected to one another and to ourselves. We felt the pain of disconnection. We saw the impact of neglect. We understand the struggle of loneliness. And also, we became more aware of systems of oppression that are impacting the well being of people of color. Atonement doesn't work when anyone is excluded, and all must be included. We all want to create a space for everyone as well as all of ourselves. And I say this as somebody who spends a lot of time working with marginalized communities and I create spaces for Jews of color, for Latin Jews, and for folks who often feel smaller in the world or in the Jewish community that want to be elevated and celebrated. I also say this as somebody who works on a daily basis to center love and acceptance within myself, as I've often struggled stepping into the fullness of my own identity. And I also say this as a human who just wants to do better each day and each year. And so we have the high holidays to create this space, this Elul. It's that time to reimagine wholeness for ourselves and our world. And so we have this divine moment of togetherness, of community that was built into our traditions that we've been holding for thousands of years because it works. And we're energetically being held together as we pray and hold these intentions. And so I see Elul as a dance of softness and expansion. The expansion is expanding our own awareness of where we can improve our relationships and our consciousness, challenging ourselves to reflect deeply and commit to change, and facing things that might not be easy. So we expand. But we also want to have of softness and gentleness in this process. And that softness is loving ourselves and each other even when it's hard, even when there's pain, to find strength to forgive or even to apologize, to be soft in holding ourselves with deep compassion as we create space and permission to care for our own needs. I'm going to share a text with you. It's one of my favorite fun facts about Elul. And Elul is actually, can we all see this? Yes? Okay. So Elul, the letters of Elul is actually an acronym for Ani ledodi vedodi li, which means I am my beloved and my beloved, is mine. And you might be familiar with this phrase from Song of Songs by King Solomon. This is very traditional around marriage, and we think about ideas of love, and we recite this song, and we talk about this song during this time because we think about love perhaps in a different way. And it's, to me, I'm thinking about how intentional it is and how beautiful it is that Elul has this message of love embedded in it. And so with this, I have another invitation, an invitation of love in this time. This is a time of radical love, to really hold that belovedness to ourselves and to each other and to our community. And this passage reminds us of that the divine is in all aspects of the world and ourselves, and we are all connected. And so we hold that compassion for each other. So in this, and I want you to maybe take this time in our sit today or in the next few days to let these ideas or these questions marinate with you. And this call to presence and action, where can we hold more love for ourselves? And as we reflect and take ownership for our mistakes, how can we love ourselves and others along the way? And if anyone feels called to, I welcome you to write a response in the chat to how you might be inviting more love this Elul. So I'll give us all a moment to think about that. And I'll share that in these days of slichot, which means forgiveness, love can be at the center of that forgiveness, of asking for forgiveness, of holding forgiveness for ourselves. And so I'll put that question in the chat if anyone feels called to share. Where are you inviting love this Elul? And I'll just give us a moment or two to reflect of how we can hold that expansion and softness all together. Beautiful. So I'm seeing a response. I'd like to work on letting go of long-term resentments. Sending you so much strength in that. I'm also seeing cracking open the shell that I've put between myself and the world. Amen, amen, amen. Infusing resentment and judgments with love. Beautiful. By being less judgmental, more hugs to my husband and children, listening and pausing, to be open and accepting of all aspects of myself without judgment. Wish luck with that. Absolutely. All the luck to you. Yes, seeing the humanity of those on the other side politically. May we all strive to do that. I'm continuing to love myself, to be compassionate to myself and accept where I am right now in my self-talk and letting go of judgment, smiling at people I don't know. Look at all these beautiful ways that we can call love in to our own inner worlds and our outer worlds. I invite you to take a look at all these beautiful messages. I'll read a few more. Changing how I relate to and support my son. In tutoring English to a Spanish-speaking woman. Beautiful. Hoping to replace growing anger with love and peace. Forgiveness of the past. To work on my life, to be gentle, laughing. These are such beautiful responses. Yes. To stop stressing and remember loving compassion. Absolutely. Going through life transitions. As I become my husband's caregiver, I hope to remember to focus on love and care for him. I'm sending you a lot of love. To improve, to live in the moment, seeing more clearly, beautiful, to be a leader. This is incredible. This is just a reflection in just a few moments. Imagine what 30 days of love, of self-love and community love can do. I'm so grateful to all of you to have this opportunity to reimagine love in this time together. And as we step into this meditation in these final days of Av, I invite you to engage in that dance of softness and expansiveness, to dream of inclusion, and to practice radical love within and without. And so with that, I will cue us into our guided meditation for today to get us ready to hold that love a little bit more inward, to harness that and create the beginning threads of a beautiful tapestry of growth this month. So whatever is your practice, if you are moving today or if you are finding stillness, find your starting place. And if you are sitting, I invite you to sit up a little bit taller, making a nice, strong and held structure of yourself, allowing your breath to move more freely through you. And when you're ready, you can gently begin to close your eyes, or if it's your practice, to leave them a little bit open. And begin to focus, to feel the power of your breath. The warm air as you breathe in through your nose. And the cool air as you breathe out through your mouth. Starting to notice any sensations or sounds around you. Becoming aware of them and turning your attention back to your breath. the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. And here we can take a gentle swallow, let our tongue fall from the roof of our mouth to release and relax, and clenching our jaw, and finding that softness of breath, tuning into that ocean between the ears, that ocean of love, returning to love within ourselves. And we'll continue in silence, and I will ring a bell in some time to bring us out together. Wherever you are in your meditation, I invite you to gently wiggle your fingers and toes. Slowly come back. Gently bringing your palms together in front of your heart, and we can bring some warmth to our hands and then gently place the inside of our palms over our eyes and slowly open them, looking at our hands to softly bring ourselves back into the space. And when you're ready, gently bringing your hands back down, coming back together. Thank you so much, everyone. I can feel the love from all of your little squares. I'll hand it over to you, Mark.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. That was just beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you so much. Friends, as our custom, we seal our practice by giving an opportunity for those in mourning or observing yard sites to recite the Kaddish. And I invite those of you who are doing so to put the name or names of anyone you're holding in your heart today, you're remembering, you're honoring, in the chat box, either now or at the end of Kaddish. And thanks to Tamara for sharing the words on the screen. For those who are not reciting Kaddish, part of our practice is simply to stay present and to offer that same kind of loving presence to those who are acknowledging their losses, and invite you, those who are, to rise with me in body or in spirit for Kaddish. Yitkadal, Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Yama Vivra Chirute, Yamif Malchute, Chaye Chom, Yomei Chom, Chaye Deval Beit Yisrael, Ha'agala, Karib,
Amen.
Yehi Shlama Rabba Israel,
Barafish tabak taputam kasei
Say, Tavshar, Shmele, V'Tava, Shmele Kusha, Bruchu, Ha'elam, Kol Birchata, V'Shkrata, V'Chata, V'Nechemata, Ba'aviram Ba'ama, Ru, Yehi Shlama Rabba
Rabba
Yisrael,
Mishmaya V'chaim
Yehi
Aleinu
Malinu
V'Yoko Yisrael
V'Yisrael,
B'Mru
Shalom
Amen.
Bimroma.
Shalom Bimroma,
B'Mroma
Asa
Yaseh
Shalom,
Shalom Aleinu V'Yoko
Kol
Yisrael
Yisrael,
B'Yoshen Davel
V'Kol B'Shnei
B'Mru
Tevel,
Amen.
Imru,
Amen.
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 Friends, thank you so much for joining us. As always, you're invited to stay on for a few minutes of conversation with our teacher for today, Kimmy Dueñas. And I want to, for those who are leaving, I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom. Hope you have a beautiful and restorative Shabbat, and also a Chodesh Tov, as Rosh Chodesh Elul arrives Saturday night and Sunday. We're very excited to share with you the Shofar Project, which begins for us on Monday with meditation and yoga, and we hope you'll join us for that. And also spread the word for anyone who you think would benefit, would be interested in that. Of course, everything is free other than the optional practice groups. I want to thank Tamar Yanai, who, as always, is stepping in to hold our tech space with grace and with skill, as usual. And I want to thank our sponsor for today, Sharon Dunoff, for sponsoring our practice in memory of your dad, Israel Saul Oslek, Zichrono Livracha. May his memory be a blessing always for you. Thanks so much for supporting our practice in that way today. So for those who are leaving, Shabbat Shalom. And for those who are staying on, if you have a question for Kimmy, please put it in the chat box. We'll keep an eye out for that. And I just want to, extend my own appreciation, Kimmy, for that beautiful, interactive and, squeezed a lot into a little bit of time there. That was really, really impressive. Thank you so much. And it was just beautiful, and a beautiful coming out of the meditation as well. So I'm going to keep an eye. Yes, I love not only the butterfly analogy, but the imagery was really fantastic.
We had to make
And
an introduction, you know?
it was great. It was great. So here, I'm going to feed you my question. My first question is going to be, I'm going to ask you to say a little bit more about what the phrase radical love means to you. You used that a few times. Okay. So, but to give you a minute for that question to sink in, just want to retrace our steps because you beautifully led us, we're at the cusp at the end of the month of Av, Menachem Av, and the month of Elul. And if we go back in time, even to the month of Tammuz before the month of Av, we've been through in this practice a period of on the 17th of Tammuz, which represents the breaking of the walls around Jerusalem, which we analogize to cracking open the heart, and on Tisha B'Av, the destruction of the temple, the idea of the walls of the heart falling open on the 9th of Av. And you continue that beautifully about this kind of sense of vulnerability, and also a good lead into Shemitah of letting go of anything that gets in the way of love. And Elul as a month of love, which is for some people probably pretty surprising, because a lot of people say, oh, that's the month of soul searching and, getting tough on ourselves, really. Preparing for judgment, preparing for the judgment day, and better get serious here and better, crack down on ourselves. And so this is a very different path. It's Judaism as a path of love. And that's what we're practicing here. That may be news for a lot of people. So, and radical love, which is a phrase I like too. I just wanted to see what you mean by that when you use that phrase.
Oh, I love this question so much, and the framing around what you all have been doing together and cracking the heart open. And I think just to reflect back what you were saying about this idea of how we need to be so hard on ourselves and judge ourselves and chastise ourselves for all the sins that we've committed. And I grew up with a lot of that. I loved my shul that I went to growing up, but that was a lot of the theme, like how can we be better and all the focusing really on the wrong things. But as I've grown up, and I guess I've stepped into a life of Jewish culture, Jewish spirituality, as well as just spirit and really tapping into the elements of love within our tradition. The more I've understood that care and compassion can drive change just as much. Excuse me. Care and compassion can drive change even more than being hard on ourselves. It really is the secret medicine in our tradition, and we have so much love embedded in our rituals and in our practices from all over the world in every Jewish community. And when we focus on that heart space, more happens, more can evolve and more can grow and more can heal. And healing is more sustainable than judging or reprimanding or just that icky feeling. I think about that experiment. I don't know if you're familiar, but it was a scientist. I'm not remembering his name at the moment, but he tested fruits or pieces of apple, and he put two slices of apples in glass jars, and for 2 weeks he would say beautiful, nice things to one jar, and then in the other one he would say really negative, hateful things to that apple in the other jar. And in that 2 week period of time, the jar that had received all the negative thoughts and words was rotten, spoiled, and the other one that received messages of love was still fine. It was exactly how it started, almost. I mean, 2 weeks of aging, but it was still good. And that was, that just illustrates, it's just one example to illustrate the power of love. And when I think about where we are now as a Jewish world, it's the year 5782, right? So for all that time, we've we've held these threads and these ideas of community and togetherness that's kept us together this whole time. And at the root of that is love. So it's in our foundation. And the more we come back to that, the longer and the stronger we will not just be, but we will thrive and continue to pass that on.
Thanks for that. That was beautiful. Well, you and I think, have probably drunk the same Kool-Aid. So we're very much on that page. And as with most as with all of these teachings, spiritual teachings in particular, each of us needs to try it out in our own experience, right? You need to say, okay, what works for me? Does harsh criticism and judgment elicit the best within me, or does compassion and love elicit the best within me? You put that so beautifully, and no one can say for anybody else, exactly what was true. But I think we're all invited to at least check that out, because our default setting for many of us is that judgment is the key to change and transformation, to the butterfly and the metamorphosis that we are hoping to cultivate during this period of time, especially. So I want to leave. We have about 8 minutes, and then we keep an eye out for questions. But I do want to, since this is your first time leading us today, and I know people are always interested to hear your story, and I'm also wondering about the connection between what you just said and your own personal story. So maybe you can, if you can, I know it's probably much longer, it deserves a much longer time, but on one foot, if you can tell us a little bit about your own journey and how you
Sure.
got to this practice and et cetera.
I'll do my best.
Well, you're going to be back, so we can always have part 2 and 3 another time. So
Yes, absolutely. Well, I love love. I didn't answer what I think radical love is, but I'll try to tell that in my story.
there you go.
Um, so I grew up in California, and my parents are just the epitome of love to me. I feel so grateful that that my soul picked them to raise me in this life. My dad, he was born and raised in rural El Salvador, and being in farm country, it was a life of simplicity and such a connection to the land and to the people. And so that thread was very much a part of my upbringing. So I learned love is about relationships, and love is about the elements, and love is about what we have, the tangible things that we have that don't really have a price. And just a little bit about my dad's story that really has informed me in my journey as being a Jewish educator. So my father is, probably a lot of people are like, wait, there's Jews in El Salvador? There are. And a lot of people don't know that. And there's actually a growing community of Jews, not just those who might be choosing Judaism now, but Jews who have historically, maybe they came during World War II, but there's also crypto Jews, conversos, Jews that came from Spain, and that's my family. During the Inquisition, they were forced to leave or convert, and my family, they were like, no, we want to be Jewish, bye, peace out. So they came to Central America, started a new life there. And then the Spanish rule extended their reach, imposed their religion on the region. And so my family again went into hiding. But there were remnants and magical pieces of Judaism that stayed alive all those years. And my father, he was actually raised Catholic. He's one of 7 children. But as a small boy, 6 or 7 years old, he had these feelings and notions of something else, and he was so interested in his mother lighting candles every Friday, and he would just wouldn't let it go. And she didn't have a whole lot of answers for him. She just said, "I'm doing it because my mother did it." And his uncle that didn't work on Saturdays. There were all these things, and he was so curious about it. And I believe that feeling inside of him, that spirit inside of him that was
Mm.
curious, that is an energy of a love for heritage, a love for liberation, a love for life and freedom. And so that feeling of love is very much in me. And on my mother's side, I come from a proud family of Polish and Ukrainian Jews that migrated in the 1800s over here. And they were all full of love too. And for me to exist feels like such a miracle, that from all these corners of the world that I exist through pogroms and through inquisitions, that I am here. So when I think about my story, the passion that I have for life and Jewish community and just helping people remember the strength that they have, not just in themselves, but what we've inherited from our ancestry, and how harnessing that power in our lives will strengthen the future generations. So that's love for me, and I love what
Mm.
I do do as a Jewish educator. And I've played with different ways of doing that. I've been in schools, I was teaching in India, I was doing a lot of different things. But I found this really special place right now where I combine mindfulness and Judaism. And my soul is so happy. My soul's so happy here. So I'm
Mm,
grateful to do that together.
wow. Well, that is an amazing, beautiful, and inspiring piece of of a much bigger story. And it also, I'll say that I'll say I think probably on behalf of the people who are here that you manifest that in your teaching. It flows through so beautifully and so palpably. And
Thank you.
as an educator, I think so I don't know what percentage, but certainly the vast amount of the majority of educational impact, I think, comes from witnessing, what is being taught in the soul and in the presence of the teacher. And so I want to thank you for sharing that, what's obviously a really wonderful gift with us. And I'm just delighted, that we have, you're on our schedule to lead us regularly in the fall and the new year. And we'll look forward to that very, very much, Kimmy. And I know you're also in a period of of geographic transition and heading towards El Salvador. So maybe I don't remember, when will you be there? I don't know if you'll be there.
Yes, I'll be there during one of our sits, so I'll be
Great.
able to share life on the farm.
That's so wonderful. Oh,
Yeah,
great. We'll have to
yeah,
make that a special edition. That'll have to be like a 2-hour special so we can do a full tour and hear the whole history.
wonderful.
There'll be so much. All right, friends, let's leave it there for today. Just a great segue to bring that radical love into Shabbat, into the renewal of the new moon, which arrives tomorrow night, Rosh Chodesh Elul, Ani v'dodi v'dodi li, I'm my beloved's and my beloved is mine, and to bring the spirit of love, let it suffuse all our practice during the Shofar project during Elul. And so thanks for joining us. We hope to see you on Monday. And I also want to thank Sharon Dunoff for sponsoring our practice today. Thanks Tamar again for stepping in so ably, as always, to hold our space. And most of all, to all of you for being here. I just want to again express so much admiration and appreciation for your devotion to this practice. And showing up for yourself and giving yourself a pat on the back for doing so. I wish you all a sweet, sweet, love-filled, restorative Shabbat, and we'll see you on Monday. Chodesh Tov, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Kimmy.